is gonna take crackerjack timing, Wang.
Total concentration. You ready, Jack?
I was born ready.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and I'm going to cover some Marvel and DC comic book news. The biggest news of the last few days was the announcement of Frank Miller and John Romita Jr.'s highly anticipated Superman Black Label series. Not to be outdone, Marvel Comics also announced superstar Donny Cates would be leading a new Silver Surfer series. Sales numbers for February are in, and it's not nearly as good as the January numbers. I'll also give some details on new Wolverine and Hulk books, as well as another DC Comics New Age of Heroes series biting the dust. 3 decades after redefining what an origin story could be in Batman Year One, Frank Miller will provide Clark Kent with a definitive origin story of his own. Originally announced as a 100-page graphic novel in 2017, Superman Year One by writer Frank Miller and artist John Romita Jr. is scheduled to launch 19 June. The 3-issue series, in a special large format size, is scheduled to run every other month, with a collected edition following on November 12th. Miller and Romita previously collaborated on the instant classic Daredevil, Man Without Fear in 1993. That story also gave Daredevil a modernized origin. DC Comics describes Superman Year One as a coming-of-age story for the future Man of Steel, featuring a young alien boy just trying to find his place in a new world. Faced with the need to hide his heritage and powers in order to survive, Clark will find his humanity through the grounding of the Kent family and the relationships that will define the man he will become. Marvel Comics announced their own all-star creative team of writer Donny Cates and artist Tradd Moore, who will revitalize the Silver Surfer with Silver Surfer Black. Silver Surfer Black will follow the Surfer's adventures after he was sucked into a wormhole in January's Guardians of the Galaxy #1 and debuted this summer. Marvel announced the new book early Friday and released the first issue cover by Moore and a variant by Nick Bradshaw. The series is billed as a mini, although the publisher didn't specify exactly how many issues. The Surfer most recently starred in an out-of-place romantic story from Dan Slott, so the character is in need of a creative upgrade. Marvel Comics editor Darren Shan said, "When Donny Cates wrote the first issue of the new Guardians of the Galaxy series, we both agreed that the Silver Surfer's adventure wasn't going to end there. That there was still more story to be told about what happened to all the cosmic heroes that got sucked into the Black Order's wormhole. But Donny's imagination really kicked into gear when artist Tradd Moore signed on. Readers won't realize it, but Silver Surfer Black is a culmination of everything Donny has been writing since its Thanos run." Sales of comics and graphic novels to retailers slipped in February versus 2018 after a big January, thanks in part to the fewest number of new comics published since Diamond began reporting statistics in 2013. Overall sales were down just over 5% versus the previous February, with comics dropping 6% and graphic novels down just over 3%. Year-to-date sales remain positive as overall sales are up almost 5% through February, with comics and graphic novels roughly on par. Marvel Comics title output continued to exceed DC Comics by over 40%, according to the information released by Diamond today. DC Comics had 5 of the top 10 issues shipped in February, including the top 3, paced by the overall bestseller The Batman Who Laughs #3. Batman 64 and 65, Heroes in Crisis #6, and The Flash #64 rounded out DC's entries in the top 10. Marvel Comics also placed 5 in the top 10 issues shipped, led by Venom #11, coming in at #4 overall. Amazing Spider-Man #15, Uncanny X-Men 11 and 12, and Avengers No Road Home #1 filled out Marvel's entries in the top 10. Due to aggressive pricing, Uncanny X-Men #11, which featured the return of Cyclops to the Uncanny series, came in as the second most ordered book overall by dollars, despite shipping the 9th most units. Image Comics' The Walking Dead #188 was the highest selling non-Big 2 title at #28 overall. To celebrate Wolverine's return to the Marvel Universe and Marvel's 80th anniversary, Wolverine legends Chris Claremont, Larry Hama, and Sam Keith are teaming up for a June one-shot titled Wolverine Exit Wounds. Claremont teams with his Extreme X-Men and Fantastic Four artist Salvador LaRocca for his Exit Wounds short story. Former Wolverine artists Ryan Stegman and Rob Liefeld, along with Keith, will be drawing covers for the one-shot. Veteran Incredible Hulk creators Peter David and Dale Keown will reunite for a special oversized Hulk one-shot called Incredible Hulk Last Call. the book finds Bruce Banner ready to call it quits when a new challenge brings back his fire. Keown and David worked together from 1990 to 1992 on Incredible Hulk, and then reunited in 2002 for the Hulk The End one-shot. Finally, in sad news, another DC Comics New Age of Heroes title is getting cut. The Silencer was one of the last remaining titles from the line that spun out of Dark Knight's Metal, and its series run will finish at issue 18 on 26 June. It joined Sideways, The Immortal Men, The Curse of Brimstone, and Damage as canceled New Age of Heroes series. Only the Terrific still remains, although it will receive a new creative team in June. That wraps up today's comic book news. Huge announcements from DC and Marvel with Superman Year 1 and Silver Surfer Black. Comic sales declined in February, but are still up overall in early 2019. I provided information on upcoming Wolverine and Hulk one-shots, and sadly the Silencer is ending in June. I should have 2 more videos out this weekend. I plan on doing my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder in Hell issue 2 review and my Brian Michael Bendis video. If you were unable to make the Comics Aficionados live stream, the replay is available on the channel, and the Doctor gives an amazing rundown on Comics Alliance and why you should know who they are. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.